Hope you're able to see my screen.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. How excited you are for today's session, cloud economics, right? What comes to our mind when we talk about economics? That's what we're going to see. A quick introduction about Intuitive Cloud. As ma'am mentioned, I've been working with Intuitive Cloud as a chief cloud evangelist. So recently, or a couple of months before we have celebrated our 11th year, we have been servicing 120 plus global enterprise as well as ISV customers. So most of the time it's 90 plus customer retention. And so we work with different technologies and tools. So we work on our superpowers like DevSecOps, CIA, cloud infrastructure, AppSecOps, cybersecurity and GRC, digital workspace. Out of all these things, FinOps is also one of our leading service. We are super proud to provide our customers their business value and also maximize the benefit of cloud adoption or cloud usage. Okay, so that's about Intuitive Cloud in quick. And this is going to be our agenda for today, right? We will have a look at the background and overview of why we are into it. What are we talking about cloud? See, you're all starting with your cloud journey. When you're beginning with cloud journey, why are we having such a topic that cloud financial management? Let me first get into the cloud and then you talk about it, right? Sometimes that becomes too late, right? That's why the knowledge of cloud finances and how do you handle the finance as far as cloud is concerned, that is of paramount importance, right? So this is going to be our agenda. I'll take you through quickly. And here are my LinkedIn coordinates. Install Journal is my Twitter handle. My LinkedIn is Bhuwana S. I keep sharing a lot of information or technological content on DevOps, FinOps, CIA, and getting started with AWS Cloud, sometimes certificate vouchers and much more. So you can follow me on LinkedIn to understand more about what is new in the industry, how you can learn and ace in this fast-pacing world, right? And that's my website. This is about me. Okay, now starting with the background and overview. So what gives people the feelings of power, right? Can you guess what gives you the power? What do you feel so confident? You can put it in the chat that what you want to share. Okay. I'm giving you some clue. What gives you the power? Money or status? Who would vote for money? Who would vote for status? And there is also a third one, money and knowledge. Yes. Thank you, Vijay, for that answer. So others. So what are the other things? Status and motivation. Perfect. Authority over others. Okay. Ramu, you want to be so authoritative? That's a good thing. So what else? Okay. Knowledge and confidence. A lot of options and things coming up, right? So money, status, we'll see. I mean, this was the survey conducted. We'll see what was the general thing. I also see authority and responsibility. Yes. Right. So money and status. Some people say money and many people say status. There is something beyond this money and status. We are talking only about finance and other stuff. What could be the other word? The most important thing is savings, right? Yes, friends and family, knowledge, authority, responsibility, money, status, everything is required. But when we talk about finance aspect only, then other than the money and status, what becomes more important is savings. Out of what you earn, how much you could save is what is going to make you super successful in future. And that is not an exception to cloud either. That's why this particular subject is of great importance. So when we talk about that, what are the challenges in handling the cloud financials? So let's start with the challenges that people could face when we are talking about or dealing with cloud financials, right? So what you see here are the challenges that one could face when we are trying to implement cloud in our journey. So how could you overcome that? What are those challenges first? So let's understand those challenges deeper and then go for it. The first and foremost, lack of visibility. First, you need to have a complete visibility on what services are being used, what is the cost at present, how much it comes per month or per services. So you need to have a complete visibility on how this is being used, right? And the next one, budget management and forecasting. So if you have a complete visibility on what comes and goes, that's when you can actually budget for the future and work towards it, right? So the present information is required so that you can forecast and budget for the future. And when we talk about overspending and wastage, this is the biggest challenge. How would you avoid this? So to avoid this overspending and wastage, we need to have a complete control of the resource utilization. For example, if you have an EC2 instance created, and for that EC2 instance, only 20% capacity of CPU being used and remaining 80% is idle all the time, then it is a wastage of resource, right? So when you have a problem in completely utilizing this one particular EC2 instance, your automation have created 10 such EC2 instances which are running. The CPU at 2% utilization, then it is kind of overspending, right? The first one was wastage and the second one is overspending. And these are challenges how you could avoid. And lack of cost optimization. The expertise that is needed in-house was lacking. So how could you get hold of this? One is, if you take AWS Cloud as an example, you have some features like reserved instances. Reserved instances are something which you can actually go ahead and tell AWS. So these are the bunch of instance types. And I would need, for example, if you take T3 X large, I will be using these instances, 100 of them for next 3 years. If you're going to establish that commitment, then you would get it for a better pricing. So for having this particular cost control, you need to have an expertise on how you can best use of this reserved instances. You also have something called savings plan, how you can make best use of that. So you need to have that visibility to work on this. And the next thing is cost allocation and chargeback. So what is this term chargeback? So when we talk about cloud financial, there are different terms that we will be talking more, which is going to follow later. One is chargeback and the other one is showback. So what does it mean? For example, if an organization has 3 different departments, okay, development, testing, or HR and admin, these 3 departments are using AWS Cloud. Now, they're using right royally. See, all of you from these 3 departments and you're using cloud. How will you know that who's overspending and who are using effectively and how much actually it is getting built? If only that visibility is given to you, you'll be a little cognizant about how you will use it, right? So for that, what you will do, there are 2 things, showback and chargeback, right? Showback is what? Hey, development department, your last month bill has been this much. Okay. That's what you're going to tell them. Show to them that this was the expense with respect to your cloud utilization. And the chargeback is to make them even more accountable and to let their cloud bills paid from their budget. Okay. So that is chargeback, wherein you're going to submit the last month's report to that particular department or business unit and say that, hey, dev team or this particular business unit, here is your last month's bill, go ahead and pay. So that is chargeback, right? It is being consumed or utilized from their budget. So these things, charging them or allocating costs for specific department has been a challenge. Cloud vendor management. So you might have cloud from different service providers. How would you manage them? And when we talk about all these financials, it has to be compliant, adhering to the rules, government norms, best practices, all of that. So these are some of the challenges. So any topic that you start for the matter, you go ahead and check what are the challenges there and what is the industry trend based on the market survey. Okay. And then we will see what solution we are going to provide. First, we saw the challenges. And here is a little bit of market overview. It's a numbers theory to you. So when we talk about that, so Gartner estimates that the organizations in general overspend 35% by an average. For their cloud expense, they overspend around 35%, which is not good for the organization, right? And the next one, according to the survey conducted by Densify is one of the tool who are into cloud financials. So they say that 53% of the organizations, they quoted that they have complete lack of visibility as most significant challenge in managing the cloud, right? And the other one, Park My Clouds, their research, it states that 76% of the instances in the cloud are oversized and of course underutilized. If we go back, out of these 7, this numbers theory or the market survey and market overview, it captures 3 different perspectives, right? One is overspending, which was a challenge. The other one, lack of visibility on the cost. And the other one is oversized instances were used. So now with this market survey done, this is the problem statement that we have. How could you solve this problem? So these challenges and these problems can be solved through cloud economics or cloud FinOps. This is an evolving practice, I would say. It's a discipline or a cultural practice. Remember, there is no tool as such that you would say when we talk about cloud economics or cloud FinOps. Cloud financial management is a discipline or a cultural practice which is still evolving, I would say. When did this term came into existence? This was more spelled and started being used since 2019. Okay, when did the cloud came into existence? At least when we talk about AWS cloud, the first service launched somewhere in 2006, right? Which is apparently EC2 and S3. They were the 2 services which came into existence initially. So when those things came into existence, we are talking closely about this cloud economics in 2019, these terms. So you guys are lucky enough when you're starting to learn cloud, when you are learning for your cloud practitioner, you are upskilling yourself on cloud economics too, right? We are ahead. And so what does this solution would look like? It's going to enable the organizations to maximize their business value. They can help engineering, finance, and business teams to deliver maximum. And with all these, you can collaborate across different departments and you'll be able to make a data-driven decision. Most importantly, the decision about your spending or the expense, right? So that is the background. With no further delay, let's look into the cloud economics. So when we talk about cloud economics, it has 2 major things. One is the business value. The other one is cloud financial management. with respect to business value, how we are going to bring in more value to the business? Not by just talking about the value that we would bring into the customers, or not talking about the business all the time, or doing a lot of research and collecting and consolidating a lot of data. If we tend to only do these things, we are not going to gain the business value that is required. What else? Of course, cost savings is something which is huge. We saw, right? What is more important, money, status, or savings? So cost savings is first and foremost an important thing. But what are the other things? There are 4 more remaining pillars that we need to consider when we are talking about cloud value framework. And the first one, or the next one to cost savings, is staff productivity. It's not about making the resources work 24/7 to deliver more features or services in a given time. It's about how effectively and how efficiently utilize the same amount of resources, making them more powerful with more powerful tools or practices, all of that, and help them achieve or deliver more features in the given same amount of time. And now, when we talk about operational resilience, the business is going to be stable when your system is capable of withstanding any failures, any natural calamities, and how soon or how quickly they can actually come back from any such unforeseen issues, right? We talk about operational resilience there, and business agility. For example, your website wanted to extend their service to another geolocation, or they wanted to service or cater to the needs of different set of customers. All of these things falls under the category of business agility. How can you make your business more agile by bringing in all these diverse perspectives? And the next one is sustainability. Using cloud, all that is fine, but how can we not bring in a lot of setback and damage to the environment as such, right? That's all we're talking about sustainability. Now we saw the business value. The next one is cloud financial management. So when we talk about cloud financial management, these 4 pillars which comes into picture. In a nutshell, or in a layman terms, if you want to say, what do you see, how much you could save, how well you can plan for your future and run it efficiently, right? So when you say measurement and accountability, it's how you're going to establish transparency to ensure visibility. First and foremost, you should be able to see how it is happening to go ahead future, right? And the next one, cost optimization. Identify the unused resources or overutilized, and you scale only when there is a demand. For example, in a week, the online shopping happens a lot only on Friday and Saturday. There's no point in running 100 EC2 instances all through the 7 days of a week, anticipating that 100 EC2 instances are required only on Friday and Saturday. So that's what it talks about. Scale your instances based on the demand. So if you're going for demand-based scaling, and if you're using right type of instances, the right size, then you will be able to better optimize the cost. Once you have a plan to optimize it, then you will be able to forecast well for the future and plan it, right? At the end of the day, like any other department, cloud also need to be budgeted for every year, right? Just because cloud is with the pay-per-use model or pay as you go, these are kind of terms which makes us so comfortable that we are going to work with the variable expenditure and there is no capital expense, right? That is all well and good, but there should be some visibility, no? How can you blindly say, hey, You're going to adapt paper model, you're going to pay only after you consume. But what if you're going to spend 10x of what you anticipated, but your budget is allowed or available only for 5x, right? So some kind of checks and balances are needed when we are working on this one, right? That's about planning and forecasting. And to run it efficiently, a cloud financial operation is required. This is not a one-time effort where you will implement, set it, and go. This is an ongoing thing where you're going to continuously identify the gaps, if any, and then bring in the right set of people, tools, and automations in places so that this will evolve over a period of time, right? So these are the 4 pillars of cloud financial management. So when we talk about these 4 pillars, right, what services from AWS Cloud will fit into these categories? See, for Cloud Practitioner as such, you don't have to really deep dive so much into it, but it's only for your knowledge perspective, because don't look at things in a way that only passing your certification, right? Since I understand from the host that you all coming from different industries with a varied experience or different technical background with varied experience, but new to cloud and trying to upskill and adapt to the cloud technology, starting with a cloud practitioner journey, right? So when you're trying to do this, this holistic information will help you to look at in your organization how we can bring in more value as a somebody who has knowledge of cloud. Okay. So these are different services. I don't want to read all of that. In each of these categories, this is what is going to help us. See, billing, budget, these are all, see what you can see. If you talk about optimization, how you could save, what are the things that can help you save? RIs, savings plans, right sizing. Trusted advisor will also explore and say what is right, what is wrong. So these are the different services which can help you. Budget planning, of course, it's something which is very essential when we talk about cloud economics, right? Okay. So this is something I want you all to pay attention. You can go ahead and learn more about this in FinOps Foundation. But what is this? It looks like all jargon, right? So any questions about what we spoke so far? Yes and no? Okay, all good. Thank you so much. So why I took a pause here when we talk about cloud FinOps is, see, FinOps as a practice, as I've told you, it evolved in 2019. This FinOps Foundation was set up as part of Linux Foundation to bring in more values or value chain to our entire cloud utilization. Okay, so this is still, you see it, the definition, it is found on FinOps website itself, says that it is the evolving cloud financial management discipline. Okay, it's ever evolving subject. That's what it means. What is the principles of this FinOps Foundation? What is the need to bring in that? The entire team has to collaborate. For example, if you have different teams, as I said, dev, test, documentation, or HR, or FinOps, sorry, your CFO, Chief Financial Officer, right? Who deals with finance or who's responsible for all kinds of finance with respect to an organization. Right from the CFO to your management, to your technologist. Everybody should be on board when we are talking about the cloud FinOps. Everyone takes equal responsibility, because if only you understand the cloud finance basics, you will be able to design a better solution as an architect. If you're somebody who's going to implement it, you need to know the visibility of, okay, if I put this particular service, say if you are using EC2 instance, instead of a Lambda function, for a very little thing which will be used and executed only once a week, then it's a waste of time, right? Waste of resources. So that's how it weighs. So these are the principles. And what are the different people who are involved? These are the different personas. That means somebody who is executing this FinOps practice to be adhered within the company is called a FinOps practitioner. And you will have executives in the organization who need to have a complete visibility on how the clouds are being used, cloud services are being used. And you should have a product owner, you should have finance team, your engineering team, and operations. This includes your dev test, your sysops, DevOps, all of these teams, right? Everybody should be on board when we are talking about cloud FinOps. That's what it is. So when you say this nice, cool pictures, right? Crawl, walk, and run, what does it mean? This shows about the maturity level an organization is. If you take an organization, for example, abc.com. So this particular abc.com, if Intuitive as an organization wanted to provide FinOps as a service, for them, first thing we would go and try to understand. So these are the principles and best practice in terms of cloud financials. How well this particular organization is mature at this point in time to better utilize the cloud value framework. How efficiently are they using the cloud resources? So all of these things is what is analyzed with crawl, walk, or run. Somebody who has a fair understanding about all these things, and they started looking, oh, who can help us on saving money from the cloud and derive a best or maximize the business value, then they are in the crawl phase. Okay, if they have some kind of teams set up, they are already coordinating, they have some kind of savings plans, RIs, everything in place, they constantly look at their reports, cost optimization reports, and then try to work on it, they're in the walk. And if they are doing this for year over year, having a well-established process, then they are in the run. So these are the maturity levels. Okay. So when we talk about different domains, right? So this again, it gets into deeper when we talk about cloud FinOps. So I would park it here from the cloud practitioner perspective when we're talking about cloud economics. But for you to have a deeper understanding later, after you learn cloud practitioner, then probably you want to go and engage with your company who are already into cloud. You can go ahead and say, hey, this is what I learned, something new about cloud economics, and this is how I can contribute to the organization, how well we can save money in the best utilization of cloud services, right? So this is an eye-opening thing for you, just park, which will be lit up later when you are exploring further. Okay, we'll move ahead. So what are the benefits of FinOps practice? So you will have cost optimization, and when you know how much is going to be the cost that is coming in coming months, you will be able to make an improved decision, right? In terms of this finance or the cost, you can optimize resources. You'll be able to have a complete control over your budget, and you're going to have a very good collaboration across teams, across the organization. And when we talk about finance, right, we always say that it's not just about savings. We are going to talk about earnings as well. What? We're talking about cloud economics. What is there to earn, right? That might be a quick question. For example, this month, by implementing the cloud FinOps practice to an organization, if we help them save 60% on their cloud expense, imagine if it is going to be $100,000 per month. Yes, there are companies who use cloud to the core. And if $100,000 is their cloud expense per month, you're bringing in a financial consultant or FinOps consultant like Intuitive Cloud, and you're going to help them save 60% of their cloud cost. Imagine $60,000. What a huge amount. So this amount, you call it as a savings. I look at it from the other perspective when I say this is going to be our earnings, because so far I never thought that I would have this $60,000 at my hand for my disposal to utilize this money for future business expansions, right? Last month, July or June 2023, I had $100,000 as the expense. By bringing in a third-party consultant, a cloud financials team, who helped me save $60,000. And with this business value, that $60,000 is at my disposal, which I can reinvest in any business of my choice, right? That is going to fetch much more earnings. Now, think of the accumulation down the line, couple of years, how much money you would have accumulated, and that's going to fetch much more earnings in future. That's why we always call, when we talk about FinOps, it's not about the savings, it's about the earnings that is going to bring us in future. Okay, basically the whole intention is to achieve high level of financial transparency across the board when we are leveraging cloud for our business. Okay. So next one, let's move on to AWS pricing and total cost of ownership. So this is like very important thing. When we talk about AWS pricing, these are the three things which comes in our mind. So this is pay-as-you-go pricing. That is, you use 10 EC2 instances and you will be billed per second basis or per minute basis. And then you're going to pay at the end of the month. That is pay as you go. And imagine you're again going to use some M5 X large instances. For next 3 years, I need 50 of these instances. You're going to purchase the reserved instances, right? That time you're going to commit for a period of time, and that is going to save you a lot of money, which is around like 40 to 60% you will be able to save when you are going for RI. If you go for spot instances, of course, it's going to fetch another 90% discount, because you're going to use when there is a supply of specific type of instances, right? When there is no demand and the supply is available for us to consume. And the third thing, when we talk about pricing, is the more you use, the less you have to pay. This looks total contradictory, right? How can you say that the more you use, you're going to pay less? Yes. If you take S3 services like S3, then we have kind of volume discount, right? So if you exceed so many GBs or TBs, your price per GB of data storage comes down. That's why we say pay less by using more. So the AWS pricing, it actually relies on these three different principles, that it is pay as you go pricing, and you're going to save big time when you commit like RIs and savings plans, and you're going to pay only less by using more. This is kind of things applicable as volume discounts. So with these things, so you have AWS Pricing Calculator, you'll be able to actually find how you can calculate the price. Okay, so for breaking the monotony, probably we can go to the browser and see how much we can save by bringing in this AWS calculator, right? Or at least plan, no, how much you can let me open that AWS calculator. I'm going to share another screen. I was like wondering for a moment, my screen share wasn't available. Okay, here you go. I got it. Okay. So now you take this pricing calculator as an example. This is a website you can bookmark and keep. So with this website, if I want to create an estimate, so all that I can do is go ahead and choose which region I'm going to work on. For example, I take North Virginia as an example. As usual, everybody starts with EC2 instance. So am I, right? Let's start with EC2 instance. So here, estimate for 2 EC2, right? You want to see how much would it cost if you're going to use 2 EC2 instance. So it's asking for different specification because the price also varies based on the region. So I'm choosing US East, North Virginia region. Tenancy, is it a shared instance or dedicated instance or dedicated host? So these are different instance. So during exams, you might also see a question on different tenancy. This is shared, dedicated instance and dedicated host. I'm just leaving it as default. Okay, and what type of workload this is going to be? It's a constant usage or daily spike or weekly spike, monthly spike. You know what, when this pricing calculator was introduced, you will not have these many options. You will have a constant usage. So now why I mean to highlight that and say is, even with the existing service, the features keeps adding. And also for new functionalities, new services keeps coming. So watch out. What you see now may not remain same 2-3 months or 6 months down the line because it keeps changing. AWS Cloud is also trying to match and stay up to date with the evolving technologies, right? Okay, so now I want to add one instance. What instance type that you want? Either I can type M5. So it lists what are the instance types available. I can either type the type of the instance, or I can go ahead and choose the instance family. For example, here it is M1, M2, M3, M4, M5. So what is all these things? 1 to 5. The first one, first letter, it stands for the family, and the number here stands for the different iterations. So M5 is the latest one. So why I am highlighting this is, okay, now I am selecting M5. Let me pick up M5 X large. So this M5 X large has 4 vCPUs, 16 GB of memory, and 10 GB of data. The price is 0.192. Okay, so when we go for this is also a projection which is given how could be the potential cost saving that if you're going for savings plan and other stuff. Okay, so now I want to check the other options. So this is for how you're going to make a payment. Compute savings plan. So if you relate it here, it is talking about potential savings plan, right? Since the payment option is with a savings plan enabled, it is talking about this. Savings plan itself has two different types. That is compute savings plan and EC2 instant savings plan. We have on demand. So if you go for on demand, so the cost is 0.192 per hour. But when you go for this particular savings plan and with a 3-year commitment, if you're going, right? And you're going to make the payment all upfront, that is when you would fetch the 60%, 62% of cost savings. So what if you go with no upfront? Then it's going to be this is the monthly charge. You see how it varies. In one option, you will be able to see what option you would choose. If it is going to be an on-demand, for on-demand instance, the actual pricing, that is 0.192, will be taken as is. And we are talking about 100% utilizations because I have chosen constant utilization, 100% utilization per month. I'm saying with 100% utilization per month, this is going to be 140 USD for this particular M5X large instance. Okay. So now we want to experiment and see why we should always go for the higher instance, right? Let me take M3. Okay, M3 is not available because it's the older generation withdrawn. Okay, I'll clear that. Okay, no, that might be okay. So now when we are talking about M4, if you see this price, M4X large, if I take this 0.2, very subtle difference from 0.192 to 0.2. Okay, and it would have got all kinds of advancements done. Can you see the difference? Which is more advantageous, M4X large or M5X large? See, M4X large is 0.2. When I go to M5X large, okay, let me add this device and we will bring it as a comparison. I've added that. So I'm going to take one more EC2 instance. Okay, this is our estimate, right? This is what I have said for one EC2 instance. So now we wanted to add another service. Same EC2, configure. This time I'm leaving the rest of things. Let me choose M5. Okay. So we are going with same, no upfront. Okay, so we've chosen two different EC2 instance, right? This one. Look at the instance family or the one we have chosen. What was the instance type we chose? M4 X large. Okay. Look at the price difference. This was the one which we created, M4 X large. This is the one we created second time, which is M5. M5 being the newer generation with advanced features that cost $2 lesser than the previous generation. That is, the more advanced one is actually costing lesser than the previous generation. So this is the point I was trying to bring in. Why it is required for us to keep continuously watching for constant updates to the existing services. The more higher version it comes with more enhancements and other stuff, it also brings in the lesser price, because this is the main advantage of AWS Cloud, which is providing the benefit of larger economies of scale, passing on to that benefit and that advantage to the customers. Okay. This is the sole purpose of me going in detail and adding two different instance types, that is M4 large and M5 large, where the latest generation of the specific instance types is actually better functionality, but having lesser cost. Okay. So now we'll go back to our, any questions here on this pricing calculator? Oh, I see a question. Emergence of AI can help to reduce cloud pricing. We want AI to do everything for us, right? Cloud pricing. We'll have to wait and watch. Okay. So how this is going to help us? Of course, we will continue to benefit from economies of scale. The more and more services and other stuff AWS are going to launch, we are going to get price advantage. But how AIs can actually reduce the cloud pricing, it is too soon or too early for me also to comment on it. Okay, so I am not making any statement over here. Let's wait and watch. Okay, so let me go back to the slide. I'm going to share my slide back again. Okay, we saw this pricing calculator, right? And the next one is okay. So we'll move on to total cost of ownership. So when we talk about total cost of ownership, so here we talk about the cost of the computer, the EC2 instance or Lambda function, whatever it is, right? The compute capacity that we are trying to use is one thing. And the other one, the amount of data that comes in and goes out. The more and more you start learning about cloud, you will be diving deep into outbound data transfer. So when we talk about outbound data transfer, what comes into picture here is, say S3 is an example. When you put an object into S3, that put cost, the data transfer that incurs while putting the data into S3 is free. When you're trying to get data from S3, that's when it is charged. So this is how data transfer cost for S3 is determined. Similarly, you have to be cognizant about the data transfer cost for each and every service for the matter. Okay. And then coming back to storage. So as far as storage is concerned, so we'll have to really take care of if it is a database, how much the data is getting stored. And in addition to that, again, you will also come back with how the data moves in. All these factors will be considered, right? So one example I'll tell you, in AWS as such, you have something called private cloud and public cloud. What goes outside to the internet and comes in is public cloud. Within your VPC, it is private cloud, right? This is the basic thing. You assume a scenario. S3 lies, there's no assumption here. S3 as such, it's a service which lies outside your VPC, right? So it lies in the public cloud. When you wanted to put an object into S3, you have to take the data through your internet where you're going to put the data there, right? So when you are putting the data through internet, the cost is different. And sometimes people do not want to send the data over the internet. Okay, for you, if you are trying to use only the AWS backbone to transfer data, then the cost is little different. So to achieve this, what you can do is you have something called AWS private link. So using this AWS private link, you will be able to create a reference or a pointer to S3 bucket from your VPC in such a way that there is a private connection which is established from your VPC to that particular S3 using a link. So the data transfer that is going to happen after establishing this private link is going to be within this AWS backbone. So the price that happens within this is going to be lesser than what happens outside. Okay, that is one thing. So you will have to be cognizant about different types of factors that involves to the costing. If you say, if it is a Lambda, it goes with the pricing, number of invocations, APIs, number of API invocations. So the pricing varies for each service. So there are different attributes which constitutes towards pricing of a service, and we need to be cognizant about all those things. Okay. Also, we need to be focused and aware of hidden costs as well. For example, so I'll tell you a story. In my previous organization, when I was taking care of performance testing team, right? So we have 150 plus users who use one particular test environment for testing. Okay. So that time, okay, this was earlier days when I was taking care of on the DevOps side, we had another person taking care of performance testing. So when an environment is down for 30 minutes, the test environment only, it's not a production, the test environment, when it goes down for 30 minutes, you know what kind of escalation email I used to get from this performance team manager? Okay, so he used to account for that 150 people's time. Imagine 150 people were there sitting idle for that 30 minutes, which has got the productivity loss for the company, which is for like 75 hours. Oh my God. Okay, look at the calculation that is derived, right? These are called hidden costs. I'm talking about the test environment being down, which is unavailable for our quality assurance team. Assume if it is like a B2B portal, like Amazon.com or the B2C portal. So where it is serving hundreds of thousands of customers, and this is going to be down for an hour during kind of some sale day, right? If you have a New Year or a festival sale, and the system is going to be down for an hour, imagine the cost of downtime, right? Or if it is the customer who have onboarded to your supply chain portal, and you have signed an SLA with a customer that maximum there will be 10 minutes downtime in case of some exigency once in a month. Imagine for some reason your system going down for an hour, cost of the productivity. All of these things, right? So these things have to be considered as well when we are talking about total cost of ownership. And there are certain things called avoidable errors, which if you overlook, then it's going to increase the total cost of ownership. The resources that are not linked and related to anything, they may not have tags, they are kind of orphaned, or they would have misconfigured storage tiers. For example, you want to create only thumbnails. For this meeting organizer is going to create an S3 bucket for you where you're going to store your original photos. Okay. And we have a Lambda function which is going to create a thumbnail and it'll store intermediately somewhere. The first S3 bucket being the standard storage, it's fine because that is the source. Your original profile photos are stored there. How about this thumbnail S3 bucket? So you have the Lambda function, which is going to create thumbnail of those pictures and it's going to place in that S3 bucket, right? Even if you do not have even if you do not say it's a standard storage, having an infrequently accessed storage class for this particular S3 bucket would solve the purpose or would serve the purpose, right? And what if you go ahead and misconfigure the first bucket as infrequently accessed and the second one as standard? That's going to be a disaster, right? So these are avoidable errors, which leads to increased TCO as well as decreased business productivity too. Okay. And so these are some of the avoidable errors which you can foresee and try to minimize the cost. That's about TCOs. So now when we talk about saving cost, a bigger organization having multiple departments, multiple business units. Imagine an enterprise organization. Do you think they'll be using only one AWS account? How many AWS account can there be in an organization? Any guess in the chat? Any clue? How many organizations max an enterprise can have? As many as possible. Right. So now, for example, I have 10 different business units for a customer whom we are trying to implement cloud implementation. So we have 10 different accounts. And imagine the customer having billing and payment for each account. Is it scalable? Then I will have to have 10 different payment options configured, need to check everywhere, all of this, right? For example, if I want to share this particular logs for this entire organization for an auditing, then I have to go and create CloudTrail in 10 different places. That's not going to scalable, right? For that, to bring in a different perspective of how multiple accounts can be clubbed together and maintained at ease, the AWS organization comes into picture. This AWS organization, we talk about two different features. One is all features, the other one is billing. So the main thing when we talk about is you'll be able to control anything and everything that all the AWS account does. Otherwise, you want to only make payments of all the accounts. So these are the two main features we talk about, right? So when AWS organization, it comes into picture, this is going to help you manage and define your AWS accounts with a centralized management or centralized governance. Okay. So we call the master account in which you're going to create an AWS organization as the management account. And there are individual accounts which are linked to this management account are called member account. For example, if the enterprise which I'm going to provide cloud infrastructure services having 10 accounts, if I want to make a centralized payment, then I will transform one of the account as a management account, or I can even create a new account as a management account and link all these other accounts as a member account to that management account. So in this case, if I want to make payment, I can centrally manage the costs and billing in this management account, and I can raise one particular payment from this particular account. In other words, how else this organization can help us? You can actually control and access permissions to the entire organization specific contents. For example, if you want only EC2 and S3 to be enabled in all of these 10 AWS accounts linked to your master account, then you can create something called a service control policy. Using that policy, you will be able to control that what services can be turned on or off in each of these 10 accounts. Remember, there might be an administrator in that individual 10 accounts, irrespective of an administrator being there. From this management account, you will be able to turn on and off that what that administrator in the member account can do it, right? That much centralized control we can have over the member accounts. And as I said, if you wanted to monitor or if you wanted to expose the logs for centralized auditing, if you want to have a secure environment compliant with all the best practices, then this is the best service to use. Okay. And remember, when it comes to consolidated billing, you also will have an advantage of the volume discounts, right? When you are doing for consolidated billing. In S3, the more you spend or the more storage that you use, you will have the lesser price per GB of utilization. Okay. So this is about AWS organizations. Now, when we talk about consolidated billing, what are the benefits? Even for 10, 11 accounts, it's going to be only one bill. It's easier to track. And you're going to combine the usage so that you will take advantage of this volume discount. And this comes with no extra fee. Okay. That is the important thing. Okay. How can I create this AWS organization? Is it so complex? Is it difficult? No, not at all. You do it only with five steps. You go to the AWS Management Console, you create an organization, and under that organization, you create something called organizational units. You assume that as a subfolder, as simple as that. Under that organizational unit, you're going to invite an account member. Okay. For example, if I have an account, which I am turning that into AWS organizations, that becomes the management account. Here, Ramu comes here and he says that, hey, Bhuvana, can you include my account into your master account so that if you have any extra credits, all of that, I can also use it. If Ramu is going to come and say that, I can go ahead and send the invite. And if he accepts the invite, his account becomes the member of my management account. Okay. It's as simple as that. So you can create new accounts as a member account, or you can invite existing account as a member account, or you can remove an existing member account also to stand as an independent unit, right? After that, you can create service control policies. Remember, the service control policies can be created only in the management account, and it can be applied only to the organizational units. Under the management account, you cannot apply the service control policy to the root of the organization, which is nothing but the management account. Okay. And you can see if the restriction is applied well with the S3 example I told you earlier, you'll be able to test it. Okay. That's about different steps. How would you create? So one thing is, when you create an organization, by default, it creates a role called account access role in the member account. So with this member account is going to request for root user password. Okay. So this is about AWS organizations. Now this is how it would look like. This is like a tree which you're holding upside down with the root as up the branches coming in and the leaves are down, right? So that's how you would relate it. You have the root account, you have the organizational units like branches, and the leaves can be your AWS account. Remember, one AWS account can be attached to only one organizational unit. Okay. And one organizational unit can have more than one AWS accounts. So that's how this tree is. And you can create service control policies. The creation happens only at the root level, and it can be attached to different organizational units or different accounts. Okay. Remember that these are the key things when we talk about AWS organizations. And for your exams also, only these kind of questions would come when we talk about cloud practitioner. Okay. So now let's talk about billing and cost management. So now we have been talking about this cloud economics, different services. How could I optimize? There are two different ways. One, in AWS itself, we have a couple of cloud native solutions and features with which you can work on the optimization. And the other one is there are numerous third-party solutions which one can adapt. We as Intuitive Cloud have partnered with several third-party vendors using which we will also provide service to the customers. Here, one example you see, there could be some challenge with cost allocation, like there could be lack of transparency or inefficient resource utilization, or you're running out of your budget. So these challenges can be overcome if you're going to adapt the FinOps practices. You remember I showed you the FinOps practices from FinOps Foundation. So there are three different stages here: inform, optimize, and operate. So when you apply this FinOps Foundation practice, and if you take it through this inform, optimize, and operate phase, you would arrive at cost transparency, efficient utilization of resources, due to which you and the organization will be able to take informed decisions, and you will have a complete control over your budget. So this is about cost allocation challenges, how it can be overcome. And when we talk about these optimization solutions, right? When you go to cloud native, you have cost explorer, you have reports which are created and can be delivered on a schedule, AWS budgets, anomaly detection, and right sizing. These are cloud native solutions which are available. And when we talk about numerous third-party solutions, right? You have Cloud Checker from NetApp, Turbonomic, Cloud Health, Cloud Ability, RightScale, name it something. You have plenty of solutions in the market. And each one comes with a specialized service, right? You will be able to use it. Some of these solutions support multi-cloud. Some of these solutions are specialized and specifically designed for AWS. So you will have a whole suite of services available at your disposal. And if you take the cloud native solutions as an example, so you have this cost explorer, right? So you will be able to find and drive value out of the data. So with cost explorer, you will be also able to enable cost anomaly detection using the cost explorer itself. Here is an example of one such report which depicts the running hours. Okay, if you go ahead and see, this talks about different types of instances and how many hours it has been running. And the other one, if you want to check, see, usage type group. First one is running hours selected. You can also filter or group by purchase options. So on-demand reserved and unused instances, right? There are no unused reserved instances. So these are the different reports. We were talking about AWS budgets, right? You as a learner, you will start creating your own AWS account as a free tier and using that, right? For example, you can use 750 hours of EC2 instances per month during a free tier period. And when we say CloudWatch, whether you're in that 1 year free tier period or after that, there are 10 alarms which can be used free per month. See, remember one key thing for you to note down is certain services are available for free. That is, certain amount or certain numbers of some services are available for free during that 1 year period. But there are certain services which are available for free even beyond that 1 year period. I've been using my same AWS account for last several years, and I got this alarm. This is a screenshot which I've taken from the email which I recently received. So it says that, okay, you have exceeded 80% usage of one of your free tier eligible service, AWS free service, right? That is 10 alarms are always free. Note this point here. 10 alarms are always free per month as part of AWS free tier usage. Okay. So I have started using 8.6 alarms. I don't know what is that 8.6. Honestly, you tell me. It's the decimals. So that means 85% and above is already being used. So I have to be cognizant that I shouldn't get billed if I use more alarms. So you can actually configure such alerts and you'll be able to notify it. So that is the key features of this budget alert, which is going to help us. And understanding your monthly bill is very essential because a lot of data is depicted there. More than how to use, or as much as how you have the knowledge of how best you can use the AWS service, you are expected to have the knowledge of, okay, how it gets billed, right? Both are equally important. And you'll have single bill for all your accounts. You don't get billed for, okay, this bill is for EC2 instance, this is for S3 bucket, all of that. You will get one consolidated bill for which you can make a payment. Let me quickly go back to the AWS account screen and try to show a couple of things. Let me share. Okay. So if you go here, so I went to the billing dashboard. So go here. So you go ahead to the billing dashboard. You will have all these services, right? Under billing itself. Now I went to the billing dashboard. It says that my present bill total forecast for this month based on the services that he uses $1.2 USD. So quite often, if possible, you check or schedule an alarm. If it exceeds $1 or $10, it has to alert you so that you are well informed about what is coming. Okay, so now I'm going to create an account and use it for this 12 months for free. Beyond that, how do I use it? See, many times these are shortcuts, okay, or little tips. When you attend some conferences, online meetups, the plenty of things which is being organized these days, you will also get the free AWS credits. Okay, a complimentary credits which you can apply. If you wonder how to apply, you can go to this credit section. So you will be able to apply the credits. For me, I have some promotional credits received as an AWS hero, which I would use it for a lot of my learning exploration and other stuffs. So these are the 2 credits applied. For example, I attended reInvent, submitted a feedback. So a lot of online sessions like this, if you attend and they ask for feedback, if you submit a feedback, which doesn't take much of your time, right? You're always giving your genuine feedback. Nobody's going to judge, irrespective of whether you give a negative or positive comments in the feedback, you will get the vouchers. Okay. So don't worry about it. So like this, you'll be able to accumulate credits and use it. That's what I mean. Okay. So you don't worry. That's the best thing about cloud, you know. So you will be able to use it as much as you want. Okay. So free tier, what are the services available? How much? Current usage, 2 alarms, forecasted usage, 9 alarms. Similarly, you see this. You have different things. Everything is available. So EC2, because I've crossed that 12 months period long time back. So EC2 do not fall under that category. So go to each and every service. So you have the purchase order if you have raised it. Since mine runs on credit, I don't see it. So you can add your billing options, right? Your bills, your monthly bills will be available all the time. Here, you'll be able to view the past bills. So everything is available at your disposal. It's all how we make best use of the available data and take it forward. That is more important, right? So any questions from anyone? And these are some of the reference links for you. I can share it later in chat as well. Or it's evident, right? AWS cost management, AWS building. You also have something economics, which gets dive deeper into economics related stuffs, cloud economics, especially. Okay, open for questions.